My guest, who is a five-time NBA All-Star. His number 10 was retired by both the Miami Heat and the UTEP Miners. He is a Chicago basketball legend, a gold medalist in the 2000 Olympics in Sydney, the number 14 overall draft selection in 1989 by the Golden State Warriors, and both the Run and the T in Run TMC, one of the most iconic combinations in basketball history. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Mr. Tim Hardaway.
How you doing?
Great to see you.
Hello, everybody. Hello, hello. How y'all doing? I know it's kind of rainy out there, but I'm happy to see y'all here today. Appreciate you all coming.
Welcome back to Springfield, Tim.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. It's always nice to come back.
So, your story is one that starts in one of the great basketball cities, in one of the great eras of that basketball city in our nation's history. And I'm talking, of course, about the early to mid 80s in Chicago, an era when you, Isaiah Thomas, Nick Anderson, Doc Rivers, Benji Wilson, all of these incredible stars were coming of age. What can you tell us about Chicago basketball in that era with those dudes and how it shaped the Tim Hardaway that we would eventually know and love?
Well, first of all, it's very competitive, very competitive. Ever since I was growing up, little boy, watching my dad play, he was a playground legend. So only thing I could do is just go watch him play the game of basketball, sit on the basketball, and just watch him play. And that's how I grew up loving the game of basketball. And as I got older and started playing the game, my dad always instilled in me to come out here and play tough. You might not grow to be 6'5", 6'6", 6'7", but you can use your height and use what you got out there on the court to your advantage. You know, play strong, play hard, learn how to shoot the ball, learn how to shoot over people, learn how to play defense, and just be tough. And he said there's not one position that you should not know about or how to play. And, you know, when I was growing up, a lot of people thought I was too short to post up people. But I used to post up people that was taller than me, and I used to bag them in and make layups or make jump hooks. So I just played the game the way my dad taught me to play the game, and that's to be confident that you go out there and play against anybody each and every day. And, you know, growing up with Ben Wilson, watching my idol and Isaiah Thomas, it's a funny story because my grammar school coach, he took me to watch Isaiah Thomas play the game at the amphitheater in Chicago. And he was in like his last year in high school on his way to Indiana. And he said, I want you to watch number 11. I didn't know Isaiah at the time,
right,
but I heard so much about him, but I didn't know I was going to watch him play. And he just said, watch number 11. He reminds me, this is how you play. So I'm watching Isaiah play, and I'm like, wow, that guy can really play. I said, I don't play like that. He said, you play just like that. You play at right now just like that with a lot of confidence, and you know, you just playing, that's how you play. I was like, wow. I said, he's tough. He's a bad guy. And I said, okay. So that's when I started really watching Isaiah play, and I really started seeing what he was doing out there on the court. So,
you know, I love that comparison because you and Isaiah both have, so Chicago basketball has this grit, this toughness, but the way that you and Isaiah played it, it respected sort of the beauty of the game as well, right? The hair was on fire, but it was also beautiful to watch. And so I want to ask you just to sort of pause for a moment and we can talk. I want to ask a follow-up question about Ben Wilson, one of your guys. Of course, hoop heads like us know what could have been and what was. You know it in person, obviously. But I was wondering if you could just tell us a little bit about some of your memories of Benji.
Well, Ben Wilson, Benji, 6'9" basketball player out of Chicago, 85. He was the #1 high school prospect in the country. And he took his team, his high school team, to already 3 championships, state championships in Chicago. Good friend of mine. We played during the summer on the same team, and we outside parks and summer league tournaments and everything. And he was just a talent that nobody really could even concept at this particular time in his life. You know, he was like a Magic Johnson and I want to say George Gerving, that type of player where he had charisma, he had the smart, he had the confidence, and plus he just knew how to play the game. And when he was out there, he gave his team confidence that they go out and beat anybody anywhere. And our last year in high school, it was the first day of practice, and my dad walked in the gym, and he never walked in the gym at practice anytime. And he walked in the gym and he said, "Have you heard?" I said, "Like, heard what?" He said, "Benji just got shot." And we was watching on TV, and we saw how many people was at the hospital, and I wanted to go, but it didn't make no sense to go because we wouldn't be able to get in anyway. So I kept tabs on it, I called his mom, I called his brother, and you know, he died about 4 in the morning that morning. That hurt the city. It really hurt the city because he was, like I said, we had Mark Guire, we had Isaiah Thomas, we had a guy named Ephraim Winters, but you know, Benji, that was our guy.
Yeah.
You know, that was my guy. That was my friend. That I knew him, you know. And every day, every week, he had big boxes of gym shoes that he never wore. He just passed them out to the people around his neighborhood down the block. That one box was from Illinois and one box from DePaul. a box of Converse over here and a box of Pumas over here. So he just used to pass them out. But I mean, you know, he was just a talent that you know, we would not have known what he would have done.
Yeah.
But he would have figured it out, and he probably would have been one of the greats. But you know, it was tough on all of us.
Hey, thank you for that. Every time I get a chance to ask one of Ben's friends to talk about him, I think I learn more, but I also think that keeping his name in the public is important for all of us.
No, it's no question. It's very important. And, you know, it brings back a lot of memories, but, you know, just that one day, it hurts.
Yeah. So your recruitment. Fast forward to your recruitment. We share a common friend in Russ Bradford. Mm-hmm. He comes into Chicago and decides to make you a UTEP minor. And of course, Coach Don Haskins is there. Coach Haskins, Hall of Famer, needs no introduction.
Right.
But what was it about your recruitment with all of the possibilities that you had, the endless possibilities that you had? What convinced you that El Paso, that UTEP was the place for Tim Hardaway's game?
Well, you know, a lot of people, when I tell them this, they don't believe me. I was too short. Nobody really came after me.
Really?
No big college. I wanted to go to Illinois. They didn't come after me. I wanted to go to DePaul. They said I was too small. Huh. I wanted to go to Oklahoma. They recruited Mookie Blaylock. You know, so it was like Texas El Paso was like the only Division I college that really wanted me at that particular time, because I didn't have no notoriety. I didn't go to a lot of camps. I just stayed at home, and a lot of people don't know, the best tutelage that I ever got was playing in summer leagues, playing against NBA basketball players every year.
Yeah.
I used to play against Isaiah. I used to play against Ricky Green, Mo Cheeks, all those guys. And then we had guys around the city of Chicago that was better than the people that was in the NBA. And when I say that, it's a lot of people that have played or I played against that never made it to the NBA, but that was better than me because they probably didn't have the mindset to take it to the next level,
right,
or didn't have. And I always say, you always got to be lucky to get to that next level. So I contribute my career to them,
yeah,
and I thank them for helping me get to where I'm at today. And we always do. Isaiah does, Ricky Green does, Mo Cheek does, Doc River does. We always thank those guys because without them, we wouldn't be here today. They drove us. They gave us the competitiveness to go out there to play the way we play today. So, but yeah, I went to Texas El Paso. Don Haskins, he never really went to go see a guy play. He watched me play, and he said, "Hey, I want to offer you a scholarship." And that was it. I knew I could play in Division I. I didn't have to prove myself to myself. I just had to prove it to other people.
Right. And
that's what I did. Don Haskins, he said, "Hey, I'm gonna take a gamble with you. I know you kind of short, but he as a coach, he was really tough. But after I left school, I really got to know Don Haskins, and we became really good friends. And it was a wise choice for me and him."
I love that. It's true, because it was a relationship. And I think about the Don Haskins coaching tree, Henry Iba, Don Haskins, Nolan Richardson. I mean, it is.
Oh, it's a nice tree.
It's big, and it's
nice
bigger
tree.
than basketball, too,
Yeah.
right? We're
All
talking
Hall
about.
Of Famers.
Yeah.
All Hall of Famers.
And we're talking about American history.
American history. And, a lot of people don't know that Nate Archibald went there when it was Texas Western, too. So, I mean, he had a lot of good basketball players that come through there and taught them the way he taught me. And I was just fortunate. I was just fortunate that he wanted me and took me up under his arms and got me to where I'm at today and taught me how to play, really understand how to run a team.
And speaking of run a team, you did run several teams. So your draft night, 1989, number 14 overall, the Golden State Warriors add you to a team where your skills could not have fit better. I think about the 13 teams that opted not to go with Tim Hardaway, and that could not have worked better for you because you get there and the world gets to watch Run TMC take shape. What were those early conversations like with you and Mitch and Chris, and how long did it take before you realized that this was special?
Well, first of all, I wasn't supposed to go number 14. I was supposed to go number 2, 3, 4, and 5. The reason why I didn't go 2, 3, 4, or 5, I suppose I went to Golden State, Oakland, for a visit, like about 3 days before the draft. It was a thunderstorm. I couldn't get out of O'Hare, Chicago. So I couldn't make it for a workout in Golden State for Don Nelson. So, on draft night, Don Nelson, I suppose went to New Jersey Nets. Don Nelson called them and told them, Minnesota, Indiana, Boston Celtics, and another team that my knees was bad. I had bad knees, and I don't pick him. All right. So I'm there sitting down. I'm like, what's the problem? They wanted me. I went and go worked out, and I did great. Then Golden State Warriors called my name. Number 14, Golden State Warriors, Tim Hardaway. I said, what? How did that happen? I never went down there to work out with him, but he picked me. As soon as I get there, he said, hello, Tim, how you doing? I got some bad news to tell you, but I got some good news to tell you. I said, what's this bad news? He said, well, the reason why you slipped all the way down to 4 teams, because I called all those teams and told them that you had bad knees. And so, because I wanted you. I said, but they listening to you? He said, yeah, I guess so. But the good news is that you're here, and I wanted you, and I know what you could do to help this team take it to the next level. So that's my claim to fame to getting to the Golden State Warriors. But it all worked out. Chris and Mitch, they welcomed me with open arms. The city welcomed me with open arms. I used to watch them play when I was at Texas El Paso because I'm in the West, they're in the West. And, it was very surprising that Don Nelson said, hey, after my first year, my second year, he said, I'm giving the keys to Tim. Mm-hmm. This is my point guard, and whatever he tells you, it comes from me. And if you get upset with him, you upset with me, and then we're going to have a problem. And I'm like, how am I going to tell Chris Mullen and Mitch Richmond what to do?
Right.
They veterans. This is my second year. I mean, he said, listen, last year was your rookie year. That's over with. You're a veteran now, and this is what's going to happen, and this is what we're going to do. And that's how Run TMC started. And we wasn't together that long, a year and a half, just a year and a half, which was a mistake on his part because he traded Mitch for Billy Owens. And we should have kept Mitch and see what we can do going forward. But the year and a half that it lasted, it was beautiful basketball. We had fun. We played the right way. We all wanted each other to excel on the team. And that's where it is. And that's where it is with Golden State Warriors today. I tell folks today that the Golden State Warriors today play the same way we played. Passing the ball, cutting, bad pick and rolls. We had Tom Tolbert. That was our Draymond Green. But only thing it was, Draymond Green, I call him the snake, the head of the snake. If you take him from Golden State, them guys won't be as fearless as they are today. Right? But when you got him on the team, he makes them go. Just like when I was on the team, I was the head of that snake. I was the one that talking stuff. I was the one that's, in other people's face and doing this and doing that. And my team bagged me up. So, but we played the same way, and they giving all the acknowledgement to a man from Houston, the coach from Houston. But it wasn't him. It was Don Nelson that started this ball movement and this innovation of small ball and playing the way the game is played today.
It's neat because Coach Nelson gave so much to this game, inventing the point forward. I mean, he was such an innovator, and in many ways, you were the straw that stirred that drink. And so then so Mitch gets traded a year and a half into Run TMC. And then you get traded during the 95-96 season to Miami. How did your game change from Golden State to Miami? Obviously, that's a more mature Tim Hardaway, by virtue of the fact that you're older. You've been playing in the league. You've got some all-star appearances under your belt. But it felt like your game your leadership changed a little bit in Miami. You were more comfortable helping to guide the younger guys. Is that accurate?
Well, that is accurate. You have to understand, as you get older in this league, you get more wiser. Your game, some things to your game, you have to change up. I was coming off an injury, ACL injury. So I had to get my quickness back, but I wasn't going to be as quick as I was before I had the injury.
Sure.
I wasn't jumping and doing all the other stuff that I was doing before the injury, and or after that athletic before the injury, after the injury. So I had to, like you said, reconstruct my game, and I became more of a three-point shooter, more methodical of running the team. And and coming from Chicago, I understood how to play Pat Riley's type of game. I knew how to run a team. I knew how to orchestrate what needs to be orchestrated out there. I knew how to play the game the way Pat Riley wanted us to play, tough, beat you up, knock you down. And back then we could do all that.
Yeah.
So I knew how to play that way too, because that's what we played in Chicago. But you know, and a lot of people don't know, you can always come back from an injury. It's just how hard you work, how much time you put into it. And you got to be smart. You got to listen to your doctors. You got to make sure that you do what they tell you to do and not do too much, because you will go out there and hurt yourself again. And I attribute my comeback again to the guys in Chicago, that when I went back during the summer, and they helped me get my game back to where I needed it to, and they picked me up full court. They made me work on offense and defense. They didn't give me nothing. They didn't say, oh, you know, we're gonna take it easy on you. As soon as I walked in the gym, as soon as I stepped on that floor, they was in me. They was on me. They made me understand that. They say, if you're gonna come back from this injury, you're gonna come back from it now, or you're not gonna never come back from it. So they helped me come back from it, and they helped me get my confidence level to where it needed to be to come back from that injury. But I told Alonzo Moore, and I said, hey, I can help you all. I could take y'all to that next level. And you know, but it was a guy in Chicago named Michael Jordan that, you know, altered a lot of things.
It seemed like he was there for 47 years.
Yeah,
he never went away.
He altered a lot of things. So, but, you know, if he wasn't there, we probably would have made a couple of championships. No doubt about it. But, you know.
So here's the part that I'm excited about. I only have 3 questions left for Tim Hardaway. After that, it's your chance. So after I'm done with this question, I'll ask for your volunteers to put your hands in the air. You'll be recognized by one of the great Hoop Hall staffers who will put you in a line to our right, your left. So be thinking about a question that you might want to ask one of the great point guards in the game's history. In 2000, you get your gold medal.
Yes.
In Sydney. Mm-hmm. That felt like a team having fun. I looked up and down that roster. I remember watching those games, waking up early to watch them. And every single game, the smiles and the wins were just following one after the other. What stands out to you about that summer and about that gold medal above all?
That Vince Carter dunk. That he dunked over that 7-foot guy, jumped right over him and dunked over him.
That was amazing.
That was amazing. That was amazing. I never seen nothing like that in my life. That was amazing. That sticks out in I think all our minds during the course of that summer. But just the camaraderie. You got Gary Payton, Jason Kidd, myself, Ray Allen, Allen Houston, you know, Kevin Garnett, McDyess. You got some people that when we played against each other, it was all out murder. You know, you going against each other and you trying to kill each other. But at that particular time, when training camp started for the USA basketball, we all checked our egos at the door, and we all knew that it was for the United States and it was for us to capture the gold. That's all we wanted to do. That's all our mindset was. We didn't care about who got the accolades. We just wanted to go out there and just win games and just get the gold. And that was our whole objective. And that's what we did. Every day in practice, it was about us. It wasn't about trying to, you know, see who was better, see who can beat who, or about anybody's ego. We competed, but we also went out there and was respectful to one another, and that's what it's all about. But that, you know, you got Gary Payton and myself that we played against each other, and we didn't like each other when we played against each other, you know, coming as one. Yeah. You know, you got Kevin Garnett. You know, he was the leader, one of the leaders on the team with Jason Kidd and Gary. You know, they helped us, you know, with all the energy that we needed to go out there and play. Even though we didn't need energy, but at times when we needed that energy, they brought that energy level up. So, you know, the family's getting together. You all the way over in Australia, you know, different time zone, different country. You want to go see different things happening over there. So it was great. And you know, I think all of us treasures that more than anything. And another thing, you getting a goal. It's not a lot of people that's gonna get a goal.
Truth.
You know, I mean, a lot of people get rings, but it's only 12 of you all. 12 of us that, you know, that one particular time get a gold medal. That's something special. I looked at it the other day. You know, you just go by and you just look at it, you just go ahead and smile. It's like, wow, I got a gold.
That's mine.
That's mine. That's mine. That's some cool stuff.
It is some cool stuff. Do you have a question for Tim Hardaway? Raise your hand right now. One of the great Hoop Hall staffers will swing by and recognize a handful of you. It's a great opportunity. Now, since your game, since the retirement, you have... You've contributed to the game both in coaching and in broadcasting. You've become an NBA dad, which is weird for people our age to say, right? I mean, how did that happen? And yet we have. So what of all the things that you've done for the game since then, since your retirement, has been most surprisingly fun for you? The broadcasting, the coaching, what's that transition been?
Well, I had my son at the right time, 1992. So the best part about all this is watching my son play for the New York Knicks, Tim Hardaway Jr. And just watching him play brings me joy, brings a smile on my face. Since I'm not going to be on a team this year, I get to go watch him a lot.
Yeah.
And instead of watching him on TV or film, but I get to watch him a lot now and get to go and see him a lot in person. So that's the main joy, watching your son take after you and love what you loved and going out there and playing the game the way you played the game. That's I love it.
That gives me chills thinking about it.
Oh, every day.
Yeah.
Every day.
So my final question for you, Tim, is I'm wondering if you could put this moment in context right now. You've done so much for this game, and yet here we are sitting on center court with these guys behind us looking over our shoulders, these people in front of us hanging on your every word. What is this moment like for you?
It's great. I'm coming to the hall, first of all, and seeing the different people that's in the hall, and you could relate to each and every one of them, how they got here, what they did to get here, and how they played the game of basketball. It brings goosebumps to me every time I walk in here. Yeah. And at the same time, it makes me smile because it's Basketball Hall of Fame, and it doesn't get any better than this. And I played against a bunch of these guys and, beat them. They beat me.
I was going to say, you got the best of a lot of them, too.
Yeah, so, but it was fun to do that.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about. The history here is soak it up. Soak it up. The history is great here. Fran has done a marvelous job since, 2002, 2001, and raising a lot of money here and getting this to where it is today. And everybody thanks Fran because she is the CEO and she just don't understand it. she does run this place, and but this every time I come here it gives me goosebumps, and I'm happy to come here and do whatever I can do for not only the Hall of Fame but the fans.
Ladies and gentlemen, Tim Hardaway. Now, Tim, I warned you ahead of time, the hard questions come now.
I know.
That's where the fastballs come.
I know. They're going to ask me the questions that you didn't ask.
So I only have, before we get started here, I only have two requests. One, that you allow me to hold the microphone, and two, that you introduce yourself to Tim before you ask the question. So let's get it started. Bobby, how's it going?
How you doing, Tim? First of all, the cat that Vince Carter jumped over was Frederick Weiss, who ain't been, I think he's working at Burger King now. But anyway, as you see with the shirt, when
Yes.
Dr. J and Irving had their
Yes.
fight in a preseason game, your era was the same play. Same way you talked about, it was murder in those days for real. Talk about who gave you fits. What guard did you go against that gave you fits? But on the flip side, who did you see in front of you and say, oh, I'm gonna have a good day today?
Chris Jackson, he gave me fits. Gary Payton, of course, and a guy that don't get a lot of recognition, two guys that don't get a lot of recognition is Rod Strickland that gave me fits, and my man from Phoenix, Kevin Johnson, gave everybody fits. So, you know, it was tough playing those guys. It was tough, and back then, like I said, you could push, shove, kind of hand check, and make them go a different direction. But they had some moves, and they had charisma and the confidence to come out there and do what I did, make it, get to the rim, make a play for your team. So those guys, and I say, like I said, Kevin Johnson and Rod Strickland, they don't get enough praises in this game because they did do work.
Who were you happy to see checking you?
Oh, who was happy?
Right.
You know what? It didn't matter. As long as if I had the ball in my hand, I was in control.
You wasn't mad at nobody.
I was just gonna have to do what I do to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bobby. Rod Strickland also has the great honor of being name-checked by Wu-Tang. Not many guys were name-checked by Wu-Tang like Rod.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Here, come on in. How's it going? Good, thanks.
Kurt from Philly. You're obviously known for your handles, and being from Philly, all we ever hear about is Iverson, where I live. Do you consider yourself the best ball handler of all time? If not, who do you
No
put up there?
question I do. I couldn't wait for somebody to say that. I'm the killer crossover king. That's me, Tim Hardaway. I invented the move. I didn't carry. I didn't set nobody up like Allen Iverson did. I came down. I crossed you over. I made you fall. I might have made you tumble, but I made a move where people are still trying to do today. They still try to work at it today. It takes hard work at it, and I tell kids, I show them, I said, but it ain't gonna happen overnight. You gotta keep working at it to perfect it, all right? So yes, my crossover, my handles was better than Allen Iverson. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kurt. Just to clarify, I saw Tim walking through the hall. People were just falling as he was walking by.
No.
Just falling.
No.
Not
That's
even-
on that commercial.
Hi, Mr. Hardaway. My
How you
name is
doing?
Joe. Good. How are you? And my question for you is, what's the best piece of advice you've ever gotten?
Oh, man. Best piece of advice I ever gotten was stay in school, make sure you get your degree, and always be humble. You know, don't take nothing for granted. It takes hard work and takes a lot of dedication to get where you want to go. And always, don't rush nothing. Don't rush the process. Take care of the process, and the process gonna take care of you.
Awesome.
That's the best advice I give you.
Thank you.
Thank you. How are you, sir? Good, how are you? Wonderful, thanks.
Hello, hi, Mr. Hardaway.
How
My
you
name's
doing?
Brian. I'm from Michigan. And my question for
Oh,
you
from
is,
Michigan.
what is your favorite away arena, college or NBA, that you like to play in?
Now, you know what? I've been to a lot of colleges. My favorite is BYU. BYU sits about 20,000, and they got a floor that got springs on them up under the floor. So when you go for a layup, you're like, boom, you gone. So I love BYU and the fans there. They very obnoxious, and I like to put them on their hands when they sitting down to make them quiet. So no, BYU, they seat about 22,000 in college, which is great. And what was the other question?
That was
And the NBA, it's always nice to go home. When I played against Chicago Bulls, it was always nice to go home and play in front of my family. So when we played the Bulls in the playoffs, I knew that I was going to be there at least 4 games out of 7. And so it was fun to go back home and play in front of family.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent question. I think this guy means business.
Yeah. He's walking tough
Hey, bud.
with his Boston Celtics jersey on.
Hi, Mr. Hardaway.
How you doing?
My name's Jaden. My question for you is, who do you think the best point guard is today?
Ooh, wow. the best point guard that is today, I still say Steph Curry. You know, nobody could beat Steph Curry. He won a championship. But you know what? I mean, you know, you got Kyrie Irving. You have Chris Paul. You know, Russell Westbrook. Who else is it out there? Kemba Walker. But right now, you know, the best guy I will say, I mean, you can't really say the best one. I say Steph Curry because I'm biased, Golden State Warriors, okay, and he won a championship. But you know, you got Kyrie Irving and Chris Paul and Kemba Walker, Russell Westbrook. All of them are really good. You can't. I mean, all of them are the best to me. That's why they always 1, 2, 3 in NBA.
Thank you.
You are.
Thank you. To think about what you did in an era that was a big man's era is remarkable. Right. Your game was so ahead of its time. You would have, I mean, the numbers today.
Oh, well, if we would have had the same type of rules that they have today, it would have been murder.
Video game numbers for Tim Hardaway.
No question.
Hi, I'm Sydney. I'm from the Bay Area.
The Bay.
So I root for the Warriors.
Of course you do.
My question is, what's the best part about your basketball career?
What's my best part about my basketball career? First of all, joining the Golden State Warriors and playing in the Bay where they know about basketball and they will let you know if you're not playing the way you're supposed to be playing out there, because then people know about basketball. They come from a basketball history with Al Addles and Rick Barry and those guys and Nate Thurman. So you got to respect that. But being in the Bay Area and starting my career off with, you know, Run TMC and Don Nelson, and then, you know, playing in those crazy series with the New York Knicks. You know, I that was fun. That was, at the same time, it was nerve-wracking, but it was fun, and I wouldn't change it for the world.
Awesome, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Sydney. How are you?
What is the best dunker of all time?
What's your name first?
Margarita. Margarita.
Margarita, okay.
What is the best dunker of all time?
The best dunker of all time. Whew, wow. I don't know. I only dunked a couple of times. I mean, you had, wow. Just by looking up there, you know, Michael Jordan, of course, Dominique Wilkins, oh my God, Chocolate Thunder, Dr. J. I think, you know, I'm gonna tell you this. I think it's like 2 or 3 guys. Well, he only had one really good dunk on somebody, but I think the best dunkers was the ones that dunked on people in the game, like Dominique Wilkins, like Michael Jordan, like Dr. J. Those were guys that I think that was the best dunkers in the game because they dunked on people. They didn't dunk when there was nobody around. They dunked on you, and you knew when they was about to dunk because you ducked. But yeah, those 3. Oh, and David Thompson.
That's awesome. Thank you.
You are.
Thank you, Margarita. You put Sean Kemp on that list? Sean Kemp.
Sean Kemp. Yeah. I mean, it's a bunch of them.
Sean invented posters, basically.
Oh, my God. Wow.
And we got the closer in here.
Yeah, you know what? He had one of the best dunks on our team, Chris Gatlin. And then Chris Gatlin gave him 5 after he dunked on him. I was like, what, man, please. Don't you never give nobody 5 after they dunk on you. That's embarrassing.
Hi, Tim.
Hi.
I was going to ask you.
What's your name?
Madison. Is Michael Jordan the best player that you played against?
Yeah. That I played against, yeah. Yeah. I mean, you try to think about who it was that you played against. Yeah. I mean, he was really good. Yeah.
and he looks over our shoulder the whole time.
Right.
Like,
Well,
yeah,
I mean, that's where he should be, right there. That's where he should be, right there, just like that. I mean,
ladies and gentlemen, give one last thank you round of applause to Mr. Tim Hardaway.
thank you.
That was fun. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah.